Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet the great Paul Fulford. He is an expert in functional aesthetics. What is it and how can it change your life? That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, there's something about the American diet. Can we all agree that the stuff they put in our food is just not supposed to be there? My wife and I took a beautiful trip to France last year. We did a lot of walking. We ate like gluttons, and both of us lost weight. And I'm convinced that it's really how they process their food. Somebody who agrees with that is in the show right now, Paul Fulford. He's an expert in functional aesthetics. So let's first define, what is functional aesthetics?
Great question. So it's something that I'm leading the charge with, really, as it regards to, there's functional medicine, there's medical aesthetics, there's health, wellness, mental performance, physical performance, and there's really, as I'm seeing as a trend, a blending of all those worlds, right? Where you've got people that are concerned about outward appearance, but also longevity, right? And what you just mentioned, I mean, whatever side of the aisle somebody falls on, Make America Healthy Again is a massively important initiative, right? We've been looking into the food supply. Everyone's been basically slowly poisoned for a long time, if you look at it.
I agree.
I've had some of my own health issues, where this is why this whole functional aesthetics piece has kind of come together for me, because of what I do for my career, as well as like what I've experienced personally.
Sure. Well, as I saw a picture on the internet, this is about 6 months ago, where a guy had forgotten a cheeseburger from McDonald's, and it was underneath his seat, and it sat there for 6 months. And when he took a picture of it and posted it on the internet, it had not decayed. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's all kinds of preservatives, aren't there?
There is. And if you look at, if it's something you can't pronounce on a label, you probably shouldn't eat it, right? I mean, you talked about being overseas. There's a book and a show on Netflix called Blue Zones. It's about people that live the longest, like centurions, right? And if you look at all these pockets globally, these people have certain things in common. They have like a social, like people that are their community.
Yes. They
are eating whole foods, and they are moving in some way, shape, or form every day. They're doing some kind of activity. Japan, like I believe Okinawa is one of the places where they have like some of the longest living people. And when I say activity, instead of taking cars places, they walk from place to place, right? So it's not just working out. Just doing something is better than nothing.
Absolutely. Let's talk about your own health journey, because one of the reasons you're so passionate about this is you were sick for a while.
Yeah, I mean, right after I turned 30, I started having all kinds of stomach problems, and went to the doctor. They put me under twice. I had to eat this isotopic oatmeal that was, showing how my food was being processed through X-ray, and they did it over like a 4-hour period. They said there was nothing wrong with me, and there clearly was, because I was foggy, lethargic, couldn't keep food down, and so my daughter was going to Montessori school at the time, and my wife struck up a conversation with one of the moms there, and she said she had celiac, and she was explaining all these symptoms. My wife was like, I come back home that day, and she's like, you have a problem with gluten. So that was the first thing we kind of figured out. I cut it out. Everything went away. They wanted me to get tested for celiac. I did get tested, and at the time, it came back inconclusive, meaning that I had a sensitivity, But in order for them to diagnose me as celiac, I had to eat it for a month, be inflamed, and then test me again. I was like, yeah, no thanks, I'm okay.
Right.
And you know, I think up until that point, I had kind of had a blind faith and trust in just traditional medicine. And it's not that I don't believe that traditional medicine works. There's still plenty of cases where I would. But as it relates to like health and wellness, my experience has been different, right? Because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Fast forward 10 years, I started having more stomach problems, and somebody that I work with who actually, she won the physique category, Mr. Olympia, somebody that I've worked with on a couple of different levels. She told me, like, again, you know, you're friends with somebody when you start talking about what color your stool is together, right?
Sure.
And she was like, I can fix you. So I was on omeprazole for 8 years, which you should never be on that long because I had acid reflux. Well, traditional medicine says acid reflux, antacid, right? But I had the opposite problem where my flap would stay open too long and my stomach would not process my food and would come back up. She's like, look, I'm not even sponsored by this company because she's a professional bodybuilder. She has sponsorship. She's like, I take these. You have the same problem I have. I'm going to get you a bottle. If this works for you, then you can start getting it. That was one of the first things. I haven't been on omeprazole for 5 years almost now since then. And the other thing that I did was to do a reset, I did a 6 juices a day for 3 days, cold pressed juice cleanse. And then I found Viome. Naveen Jain, he's brilliant. He's the founder and CEO of the company. What Viome is a blood, stool, and saliva sample plus the questionnaire that you send in, and they will come back and give you what your superfoods are, what foods you can enjoy, what foods you should minimize, and what foods you should avoid. And being on the road a lot, I thought I was being healthy, eating like raw almonds and pistachios. Come to find out those were inflammatory for me.
No kidding.
Nightshades, inflammatory for me. So they will also custom make your prebiotics and probiotics for you. So I did that cleanse. I went on those. I changed my diet to match that. And I wasn't even trying to lose weight. And in 3 months, I lost 5 pounds of inflammation.
No kidding.
So
amazing.
Bringing it back to what you're talking about earlier, just the food supply in the way that it's also looking at it, the fact that most people are in a state of inflammation, so they can't get into a state of repair.
Yes.
That's where I was, right? And then for my career, for the last 13 years, I've been in the medical aesthetic space. So the last few years, I've just been seeing a blending of all those things because there are some hacks you can do to improve skin health.
Yes.
You know, and just overall longevity that some of them are free, right? Just getting proper sleep and managing your stress, right? But you give yourself a better canvas to work with in the medical aesthetic space, the healthier you are from the inside out.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and pull up this website. The device is called AccuFit.
Yes.
What is AccuFit?
So I've been lucky in my career to be a part of a lot of cool different devices, and this one has been sort of a baby of mine for the last few years. And actually what AccuFit does is it's direct electrical muscle stimulation. It basically works you out without having to work out.
Incredible.
Right? So it moves the muscles in the area that you treat on all planes of movement.
Yes.
And we did the first of its kind IRB functional strength improvement study. And with it being an IRB study, if people aren't familiar with the medical space, if people change their lifestyle plus or minus 5%, we have to throw out the data, right? So it's as accurate as you can take it to the bank.
Wow.
40 patients, men and women, varying fitness levels, age 30 to 65. They did 4 30-minute treatments on their arms. And the average functional strength increase they got was 37% in biceps and 29% in triceps.
No kidding.
Yeah, and that's stuck for 90 days. So,
and explain it to us, not too much science, but it mimics an exercise. So you look like you're in great shape, and you confessed before the show that you haven't done a crunch in 5 years.
Crunched in almost 5 years. It's been 4 years, yes. I do work out, right, but I hate core.
Okay, so AccuFit is stimulating the muscles?
So there's lots of different muscle devices out there, and this is where again part of my passion is trying to help sift through the minutia, right?
Yeah.
And help people find fact, right? Well, with direct electrical stimulation, there's a TENS unit, which is about maxes out at 1 milliamp of electricity. Then you've got Russian stim, which was popularized in the 60s and 70s with the Russian cosmonaut program and Bruce Lee, right? That maxes out at 10 milliamps. Then what AccuFit actually maxes out at is 100 milliamps. So in easy terms, you can control and manipulate the muscle from end to end, where something that's lower powered without other technologies associated with it can't. So for the core, for example, to give an easy example, it runs you through 4 programs. The first is going to be twist. It mimics a medicine ball twist. So it moves you side to side. The body moves side to side. The second mode is hold. It's a 20-second contraction. It's like you were doing a plank with weights, or you're doing a 10-second sit up, and a 10-second sit up down for 20 seconds. Third mode is grip. It's like doing right elbow to left knee, left elbow to right knee, or like you're rowing a boat. It kind of figure eights you. And then the last mode is tap. It does like quick kick, floating kicks.
So you could actually be watching Netflix and getting a workout?
Yes. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
All right. You also have a very popular podcast. We're going to show the YouTube channel because you've had a chance to interview some amazing people. Talk about optimize outcomes.
So optimize outcomes. This is something that I had been urged to do for a long time, and I was like, why should I? And because I have opinions and I care about the truth, right? And so I finally did, and it's just that. It's finding ways to optimize outcomes. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors in the medical aesthetic space.
And while we've got this on the screen, you're interviewing. This is Tiger Woods' coach, and
Sean Foley. He's a good friend and just a massively cerebral, intelligent person. He again is somebody that looks at physics and physiology of the body as it relates to the golf swing. And again, as a golf coach, the mental side of that is incredibly important. And he's coached Tiger, he coached Lydia Ko, Justin Rose. He's got a young stable now, like with Cameron Champ. So he's somebody that also it's taken the blinders off, so to speak, right? And what he does.
Okay, what do you? I'm going to get deep with you for a second. Why do you think God put you on the planet?
Oh man, ever since I could remember, when I was a kid, I've wanted to help people. Right? Like, in whatever capacity I could, the most joy I've ever gotten out of anything is when I can help somebody overcome something in whatever way it's been, whether it's been mentally trying to teach them how to do something. I know that's pretty generic, but, my passion is helping people, and this just happens to be my medium to do it in, right?
What kind of comments have you gotten from people? I'm sure you've changed lives.
Well, I mean, I think it's one of those things where the biggest feedback I've gotten is where they've basically said that it's, I would say the biggest feedback I've gotten is they were surprised how simple some of the things were, right? A lot of times people go into a particular endeavor and they think it's this big mountain that they have to climb. And I think sometimes if you just take a step back, a process that I have that anytime I'm feeling overwhelmed, for example, which happens all the time, I travel every week. I'm doing for lots of different reasons. When I feel like I've got too much that I have to do that I just can't get it done, and it's almost paralyzing, right?
Yes.
And it manifests physically sometimes when people get anxiety.
Sure.
I will just write everything down on a piece of paper, and then I stand over top of it. It's like a physical process that I do, and then I realize that's how big it is compared to me. And then I use like Covey's 4 quadrants to break it up, and urgent and important, urgent not important, important not urgent, not urgent not important, and then I'm able to kind of get through it, right? So even something as simple as that, right? Just trying to simplify it and help people realize that it's not something that they can't do, I think has been like regular feedback for different things.
Well, and I'd love your input on this. It seems like, we know more about how the body works than we ever have in the history of mankind, and yet America continues to get sicker and sicker.
Wealthiest country and sickest country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Regulation, I think, and not transparency and information, right? I think again, I wouldn't be as bold to say that this is the direct cause, but I think that, there was a lot of controversy around the COVID vaccine, but if you just look at vaccines in general, right, I think that aluminum in vaccines is something that has caused a lot of food issues. Like, why now do we have so many kids that have ADD? Why now do we have so many people that have health issues? Like, why do we need gluten-free, right?
Right.
So there just hasn't been, like, again, what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is doing right now is so important, with the dyes, with looking at the food supplies. Like we talked about earlier, if you can't pronounce it, you shouldn't eat it.
Yes.
Right? We've gone away from what is healthy. And even if you look at medicine, the way it was practiced not so long ago, a physician was a local person that lived in the community. They knew the people that were living around them and with them. They were friends. They went to dinner parties together. So if something was off with that person, they knew.
Right.
It's a conveyor belt method with a lot of this now, and it's not even at the fault of the doctors, I don't believe, right? Because the standard of care is as such where you can't just prescribe like sunlight, exercise, and change diet. If somebody has a diagnosed medical condition, if they're not giving them the schedule of drugs they should be giving, their license can be in jeopardy.
Right.
Right. So I think that a lot of that has been put under the microscope, and I think a lot of it's being exposed now. And I just hope that we continue down this path because we have a lot of things that could be solved easily.
Okay, Paul, let's end this segment with a call to action. If people are watching this and they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, they can contact you through, I guess, the website that we're going to put up in a minute. But what advice do you want to give to people who they know that their body is not working the way God intended?
I would say just be a voracious reader. Don't follow trends. I would say follow longevity. Look for things that aren't quick fixes. Look for resilience, and look for a functional practitioner. It's not that there's not a place for traditional medicine. You got to get your blood panels. You got to look at methylation testing. You've got to look at all of the things to get your baseline data. Everything that I was able to look at and solve with the help of physicians or on my own was by getting data, right? I think that's the biggest baseline. If you look at sports, for example, the one sport that has statistics on their statistics is baseball. How do you know if you're improving if you don't know what your baseline is?
Yes.
So just get the data and seek out different sources and find places Joe Rogan does an excellent job with this. Andrew Huberman, Dave Asprey, Gary Brecka, they're all bringing information to the masses that's real information that maybe was kind of suppressed in the past.
Right. Paul, you've been an amazing guest. We're going to have you back soon. We're going to end with the website so you can get in touch with Paul and his amazing team, Lutronic.com, the great Paul Fulford. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.